Hey, it's Camille from CamilleFineArt.com coming to you today from my Sunshine Art Garage studio. And today's tutorial is going to be on creating your own fresco. It's one of the mediums that I am known for doing. In fact, I've created my own medium that is a lightweight version of an actual fresco. It looks like it, and yet you don't need heavy-duty hardware to hang it up. Real frescoes are like carrying a boulder around, and you can't really do it. You have to do it on walls or something smaller where it would need maybe heavy-duty hardware to put it on a wall. This you won't have to do. And it's a gloomier day today. It's a little cooler. It makes it a really good day to do it because the medium will stay wetter longer, and you need it to stay wet so that you can apply the colors to it. And then it just seeps in and becomes part of that painting. So today I'm going to give you a quick tutorial on a small fresco. I'm going to reuse an old picture frame. I had bought it quite a while ago and I never got to use it, and before I got to use it, the glass cracked. So I thought this would be a great way to repurpose it. I'm going to show you how to do it. Stay tuned. So these are the materials you're going to need. First, we're going to need a frame, and I've taken it apart. I am going to use the glass. I'm just going to glue the glass together to make it firm, and I'll tape it as well. And we're going to use everything that was in there, including the cardboard backing and the mat board, just because I need to have some strength to hold the medium that we're going to put inside. We're also going to need some painter's tape and some duct tape because there's 1,001 uses for it. Also a pair of scissors, and I'm using quick grip glue. It works really well. I'm going to use it to seal the bottom to the frame along with the duct tape to give it some extra strength internally. And then on the back, when we're all done, we'll cover it with a paper so that the back looks nice and clean. And then of course you'll need the medium, which I am going to mix, and we'll put that into the center of this. And I do have classes that I am teaching on learning how to do this. So if you want great detail on it, join one of my classes. You can contact me at info@CamilleFineArt.com. So let's get started. The first thing is we're going to take the glass and I'm going to tape it. I'm going to use duct tape just because it is very strong, has a good glue to it. Cut a piece off. I'm actually going to cut it in half because we can use one strip in half to do it. And then just line it up really well. Hopefully you have a piece of acrylic or glass that works, that's not cracked. But in my case, this is the deal. I'm just gonna take that and put some glue along the seam. It's a clear glue. It's very strong. I use it for a lot of things. You can use it on glass, stone, I use it on wood. I use it on so many different things. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put the tape over it, and it's going to dry on its own. Cut off one more piece. And then I'm going to just put it in the bottom here. I've got several pieces. So we've got the backer, we've got the mat board, and we have the glass. And I'm actually going to put the glass on the bottom. I'm going to tape it, and I'm going to glue it. So I just want to put some glue dots, if you will, all over, because this is going to help keep it in place, and we don't want this shifting around. We're giving the glue backer also the cardboard backer some extra strength by gluing it to the glass. So we'll just let that set. It dries pretty quickly. I'm going to put some weight on it just to let it go. And then we're going to put the mat board on top. And then the next thing we're going to do while this is dry, I'll put this aside. And what we want to do is we want to make sure there's grooves in here that the backer and the glass are going into, but I don't want to get the total inside of my frame messed up from the medium that I'm going to put in. I'd like a little bit of the frame to show. So I'm going to put some tape in here. And I'm going to start it where I want the medium to stop. So for instance, I think I'm going to want like a 1/4 inch or so of the frame to be visible. So I'm going to go and put this in here. This is how much medium we're going to have in the depth of it. And I'm going to fold it over because I just don't want this to get messed up. You know, if you don't clean it right away, it is going to get soiled on there, and then you won't be able to get it off. It'll look kind of dusty and dull. So we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to just go around, take care of this. And in the corners, if you're going around, just clip them. And then you can fold it over. You just want to complete this all the way around. Okay, so we have our frame and it is dry now, and I have my medium that I'm going to put inside the frame. And additional materials you'll need are, for this project we're just going to use acrylic paint, but when you take my class I will teach you how to use actual pigments, different stone pigments to use in the fresco. So I'm just using my normal acrylic paints today. I picked out some colors that I want to use, and then you just pick out a painting or a drawing or a magazine item, and I just have this little thing that my granddaughter actually was painting on, and I'm just going to do a butterfly, and I'll add my own items. And you can make a copy of it on regular paper, and then what I typically do is I lay it down inside, and you can trace it by using a soft nosed pencil, maybe that's not fully sharpened, and you can kind of trace out the lines you want onto the wet medium. And it's important that the medium is wet but not too wet, because you don't want it soupy, you don't want it to seep out through the thing, you want it to be like a plaster. So if you look here, I'm putting it on, and it's like a very, very thick cake batter. And I'm going to layer it in here, and you're going to want it to be as smooth as possible. So you're going to fill it up. You try not to go past your lines that you designated with the painter's tape. And I'm just using an old spatula, a wooden spatula. And see here, this is why it's so important to use the painter's tape, because it does get messy, just so you know. And you want to be able to smooth it. I also have little trowels that I use, especially on my bigger pieces. I use regular trowels that they use for masonry work, because those are excellent at smoothing out. And you don't want any air bubbles. You want to make sure that it's nice and smooth. As you can see, I'm using a little palette knife to just kind of smooth it out and get it nice and even across. Get a nice consistency. There's all different size palette knives, but these are like little mini versions of the masonry tools, especially when you're working on such a small piece like this. And you want to just make it nice and smooth as you can. Got a little bump in there, and sometimes the bumps are good because it gives it a little extra character. And I like to keep those in, and I work around them too, so it becomes part of your actual finished piece. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I went ahead and I traced out my image, and I just used the back of my small paintbrush, and I just lightly drew dots and did some lines in here so that I could have my image on there. And today we're just using some, bottled acrylics. Choose your colors. I use a little container like this, and just pick your colors. And what we're going to do is we're going to start working on it. So, just pick a color that you're going to use. For instance, I want to use some yellow. I have the sun. I'm known for painting the sun. And I've got a little sun on here. And so I'm going to start putting some sun rays out there. And I want it to be just tinged. You can get a good mixture of colors in here. If it's too wet and it's moving around, let it dry just a little bit. There's like this moment in time where the medium is just perfect. It's just firm enough and it's not too firm. But you need it a little firm so that you can be able to paint your image onto the screen, onto the medium. So I'm going to keep going, and we'll come back in just a minute and let you know where I am. I'm not done with my background, but at least I've laid it in enough where I can see. So I'm going to lay basic colors in, and as I go through, I'm going to add more detail to it. So I'm going to start with the lighter colors, because the lighter colors, when you're working with acrylic like we are today, it's not so bad. But when you're working with the pigments, actual stone pigments, you need to be conscious of starting with the lighter colors first, because they will be harder to add once you've laid in the darker tones. So it's really important you do your lighter tones first. So I'm going to go through and get my tones laid out so that I can see the outlines better, even better than I did. Hey there, I'm back. All the colors have been laid into the rest of the design, and it's had a chance to harden overnight. So now it's complete, and here is the finished product. It looks great. Now the last step is to put a coat or two of matte varnish over it to seal it up and prevent any dirt or oils from getting into your beautiful painting. And now it's going to be ready to go to give as a gift to someone special, or you've got a wonderful piece of art to keep for yourself. I look forward to having a class with you, whether online or in person. Check out my website at www.camillefineart.com and sign up for a class. I'm looking forward to seeing you. Thanks so much for watching this tutorial, and have an art-inspired day. Thanks.